Okay, so there's a big crow. Yeah, and look at this wee, I don't know if you can see that, this little castle thing on top of the hill. It's like a little tiny castle. Yeah, I've not done a video in a while, I've just been busy. So I started lifting weights again, and it's completely different now. The whole thing is completely different. There's no narrative. There was a narrative before. There were goals. There was an agenda. Everything had to be planned. It was very competitive. There was a toxic element to it. So I had to I had to count frequency, load, repetitions. I had to do this many repetitions, so on. I had to do this. I had to be this strong, and so on. And there's just none of that now. And it's more like the body wants to express itself. It wants to move. It wants to play, in a sense. And I just let it do what it wants, really. With a basic framework, just for convenience. But there's such an intelligence and a wisdom in the body, and I just let it communicate with itself, and it does what it wants. It's pretty much automatic. So I noticed that I would always be, you had to barbell bench press, and I had to barbell bench. It had to be at least 220s on each side. I had to be able to bench 3 plates a side, otherwise I wasn't strong and there was no point. And I had to do this many reps, I had to do this percentage, and so on and so on. And I went back to the barbell. Obviously I'm a lot weaker than I was before, and it didn't feel right in the shoulder, so the body communicating with itself, just decided to stop. Went to try something else, and dumbbells or cables, and something didn't feel right, and it changed the movement itself, and it worked itself out automatically. And then when the body is tired, when it's had enough, it stops. It knows if the load's too heavy, it won't lift it. If the load's right, then it lifts it. If the load's too light, then it wants to lift more. So it's so simple, and I just complicated things before, and I stressed myself out. I stressed the body out by trying to achieve these milestones, trying to compete with myself and other people, and trying to fit my exercise into this mind-based framework that wasn't really based in reality, and not having that connection to the wisdom and the intelligence of the body. So it does its own thing, as if it's doing it by itself. It just happens and expresses, and there's a flow to it, and it's comfortable and nice and pleasant, and completely different. There's none of the nonsense there. Like before I would hit the bench, I would get some progress, and I see a little bit of progress. I'd be like, right, okay, I need to get this much. I need to do so many kilograms now. That's my next, and just pushing. Before you know it, my joints are crumbling. I'm falling to bits, and I'm still training through injuries and all this nonsense. So so that's all gone now. So that's good. Anyway, that's off topic. But yeah, just to explain how exercise is. The body wants to express itself. It wants to move. It wants to play. It's more of a play and an expression. It's more creative than anything. I'm not doing something to train for something, to train towards a goal. It's just all as it happens, all expression in the moment, and the body sorts itself out and knows what to do. It's I feel like I've accessed a wealth of of intelligence and wisdom inside the body that I didn't have access to before. And it's not really inside the body, it's just of the universe expressing itself through this form. And it's enjoyable. Anyway, so someone asked me to talk about intuition, something like intuition, higher self, inner voice, and how that relates to awakening. So yeah, there is. I'll just start with my own experience. So, you know, I did a lot of reading into the subconscious mind and so on. I was very interested in psychology and subconscious programming techniques, obviously being into sports and whatnot, states of mind and so on. And I know from my research that, you know, our conscious mind is a fraction of the mind. You know, I always talk about the layers of the self, the layers of mind and thought. They go deep and deep, and most of it we're not aware of. So like I saw it explained as in this conscious mind is like the tip of an iceberg, and the subconscious mind is the submerged part of the iceberg, which is also connected to everyone else. So these communications that come from the subconscious and seem to communicate to our conscious mind from this vast depth of intelligence. Who knows what that is? I don't know. But it does happen, and what we're basically doing in our practice of awareness is we're expanding that awareness out to an extent, so it's encompassing more of the mind. You're noticing, you're almost accessing or observing more of the mind, and those subconscious layers come up to the surface. And in doing that, in my experience, it kind of releases these. So you become aware of patterns that you weren't aware of consciously before, and they were running you. They were running your behaviour and your experience of reality. And when they become conscious, when you see them, then they no longer have that power. You know, that can be a good thing. It can also be, or it could be perceived as a good thing. It can also be perceived as a bad thing that would create problems. So, for example, the inner voice, at least for me, it comes as a deep knowledge that's not communicated via words in my head, but it's like a feeling. And I could say that, you know, with the struggles and the problems I had in life before that were, you could say, created by myself, you know, I know I there was something in me that even during it, I just knew that it had to happen. I had to go through a lot of immense suffering. There was something in me that just knew that I had to push things to the extreme. I had to suffer. It was like a kind of, almost like I was giving myself a rite of passage. It had to be done. There was no avoiding it. It had to be done. I always got that sense. But I always got the sense that it would be alright. I always got the sense that it would be alright up until the end, when something in me said, this knowing just came out of nowhere and said, this is it, this is enough. Now it's getting dangerous. Now you're going to end up with physical death, and now you're going to end up dead. So you need to change your behaviour. But I had to do it. I don't know, something in me just knew that I had to do it. I don't tend to talk about these things because they're a bit weird, but you know, there are weird experiences in life, and there are loads of them. And a lot of them are because of the subconscious. Because when the subconscious communicates to the conscious, it seems weird. It seems like this unseen, unknown intelligence is talking to you. And that's where that kind of spookiness comes from. The subconscious mind communicating with the conscious mind. But in my experience, that was it. But I had to go through the suffering. It had to be done. I don't know why, but it had to be done, and it I suppose I do know why. It was a kind of catalyst for this kind of transformation of my life that had come about afterwards. I had to use that experience for some reason. I had to use it to progress. The person, the self, had to progress, but I had to go through the crap to to get there. So another one that I hear people talk about, and it's weird, and it's, some people might find it off-putting, but you hear people talk about an awakening after the realization that they gain a memory of previous lives. And the exact same thing happened to me, although I'm not sure it's as in previous lives before this life in a linear time sense. I got the sense, I knew that this awakening process, this relative awakening process, has been going on. I'm not going to say it's for me, for myself, but it kind of is in a way. It's been going on. It has a history, let's say, or an expanse that transcends or goes further than the limits of this individual life, that lifetime. And I got after the first shift, I got the really strong sense of this has been going on for a long time. And I'm remembering that this is why I'm here, and I remember that all. And it's because this mind body works in space time, right? It perceives things based on that framework. Okay, so I got the sense that my past self was communicating with my current self, and saying, look, you remember, this is what this is all about. We've been doing this for ages. Remember this, let's go. Something like that. Which sounds silly, and I'm not saying it's a past life. I'm just saying that that communication was occurring in the present, in the infinite of the now. It was like a remembering. And I don't think it's a linear time thing. I don't think it's a previous life thing. I think it's what it is. The thinking mind can't compute. It can only frame it in that the past life reincarnation type thing. So I think that's what people mean when they talk about reincarnation. But it was a huge sense of comfort to know that, to remember. It was like I was lost there for a bit, but I remember now, and this is time. This is now. It's I just know. Nothing's gonna be the same ever again. Never. It's that's gone. The being lost in it. That full identification. That full belief in the self in this lifetime is just. That's when I knew. That's when it disappeared from me. That's when it was gone. That's when I remembered who I was, and what I was, and what we all are. And that is what people talk about when they say nirvana or bliss or the end of suffering. It's like a remembering and then an appreciation. And I struggle to explain it, but that remembering, it's like coming home in a sense. It's not like, it's like realizing that none of this mattered to the extent that we were identified with it before, but it was also like, and it's always been like this for me since. I can describe, at least for me, it's like this. Imagine you're nothing, and all you know is nothing, just, I know you can't imagine that, but the perceiver, which is essentially not an object, not a thing, not a person, just awareness, is nothing. It's amazing, that it's mind-blowing that this world is here and this is happening, and there's a sense of amazement and appreciation and love behind all of it, and all of it. It's just incredible, and it's a constant. It's not like a, it can be obscured and it can be brighter, but it's just constantly there. This amazement that, look at this, these senses, this experience, this world, appreciation, incredible. It's just incredible, and it came with that, that realization, that remembering, that appreciation, and nothing's taken for granted, nothing's overlooked, everything is appreciated. And with that, all that background suffering just melts away. It's kind of like you're, let's say, because I mentioned suffering, let's say you're in you're in a nightmare, you're dreaming you're in a nightmare, and then you become lucid, and it stops being a nightmare, and you're like, oh, it was just a dream, but now I'm in this dream, and oh, it's cool, I know what I'm doing, I know I'm dreaming, I can go and do what I want, I can go and do somersaults and or whatever you want to do. That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing. And you're in your bed, safe and happy in your bed. So that inner voice, it can be. Just go with it. It doesn't need to be analysed. You don't have to figure out what it is. Just go with it, and when you know, and when you don't know, it can come from a subconscious egoic pattern that might be quite destructive. But then again, who knows? Like, in my case, that destructive pattern had to play out because it had to be experienced. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but it definitely was in my case. Did it have to be like that? I'm not sure, but I don't really think about it. But yeah, if it's something that's telling you, that's pushing you towards something, with this awakening, if there's something that's pushing you towards it, that's drawing you towards it, that's the waking up. That's you waking up. That's it started. You're remembering why, who you are and why you suffer and why you feel lost, and it's pulling you back home. Anyway, I don't know if that answered the question, but I need to go. That's all for now.